This is the introduction video for the read-along for the Saxon poets Vīta Carolī, Book 1. So what is the Vīta Carolī? The Vīta Carolī is a life of Charlemagne, which was written by someone known as the Saxon poet. The Vīta Carolī is in poetic meter, dactylic hexameter to be specific, and it's this, heroic verse rendition of the life of Charlemagne. The Saxon poet himself, we don't know anything about, besides that he was Saxon. He wrote this book, the Vīta Carolī, which is actually a set of 5 books. And he wrote it about a century after the events occurred during the reign of King Arnulf of Carinthia. So in this read-along, we'll be going through the Vīta Carolī, just book 1. And to do that, we've got some materials to help you along the way. First off, we've got a scansion guide that's published, which is the entire text here of the poem with the the scansion written and whether syllables are long or short. And that's for the entire original thing. And what we also have available for you is, this is in book form. It's on Amazon. It's super accessibly priced, not too expensive at all. It's almost as cheap as I could make it. And it's got space here where you can, buy the book and try writing in the scansion yourself, because it's double spaced here. And then you can download the scansion guide. It's free. It's linked to from the video description here. I also link to it in the book. It's free. It'll always be free. It's just up on the GitHub repo for this book. So I'd recommend write the scansion in here and then check it with the scansion guide. Some other features in the book that you'll find super useful is with the original version of the poem. On each facing page, so there's, the text of the poem here. The facing page contains a glossary just for this page. So if you're like, oh, postquam, what's that mean? Well, it's right here for you in the glossary. And these are also fully parsed. So if you're looking at, oh, magno, what does that mean? It means great. But you also will know that it's singular masculine dative. Because in this case, the monarchy is being given to Charles the Great. So magno's in the dative. This is really useful, I think, if you're taking a comprehensible input approach to learning Latin. Like if you're like, well, I've read through maybe Familia Romana. Now I'm looking at other, I want to read through some authentic texts. This will help you because instead of having to flip through a dictionary, you can get right to the right meaning. I did pick the glosses that are correct, and the parsing is also correct. So in some cases, like magno, it could be dative, it could be ablative. I've gone through line by line and reviewed all these, so they're generally accurate. How is this glossary generated? I wrote a computer program that uses a dictionary to read through all of these, attempt to parse the words, put these all together. It's not an AI tool, and I do go through line by line and review all of the generated ones and adjust things as necessary. So the glossary is pretty accurate. It's a lot of work. If you do find any things that you think should be corrected, please email me. My email address is in the book, or leave a comment on the YouTube videos with the read-along. So there's fully parsed glossary for every single page. It's kind of nice because since it's specific to each page, when it says like Paolo here, well, that's Paul. It's not just Paul, it's Pope Paul I. We've got the information there. So advantages of having a glossary for every single page. Also, we've got footnotes here that gloss more difficult lines to read. We've got additional information here. So here it references a theological concept, which is explained in the footnotes. Historical context is also explained. For example, in this line, Pope Paul dies and Adrianus undertakes the pontificate. Well, if you're like me, you don't have all your popes from the 700s memorized. So in the footnotes there, you get kind of the full historical data on who these people were. Or at least enough historical data where if you are super interested, you can look up, in an encyclopedia or something. So each page has footnotes. It's got glossaries here. At the end of the book, there's a bibliography, which gets you, a link to the archive.org critical edition of the text. So the critical edition of the text doesn't have macrons. The OCR can be a little rough at times. And it doesn't always follow these nice orthographical conventions like beginning sentences with uppercase letters all the time. But that's the critical edition. You can go and download it if you want. Also, if you finish book 1 here, the Vīta Carolī is 5 books total. So you can read through the other books as well. Of course, it doesn't have glossaries or any of that. It's just the text. The reason this book that I'm publishing here is just book 1 of the Vīta Carolī is I wanted some, a nice introduction to Latin poetry for my high school Latin students. And I kind of wanted something from the medieval period and something that they could finish within one semester, which is why, it's just a kind of small 100-page book. There's also maps here, which is useful. So this one is adapted from a Wikipedia map. I changed CE to AD because, of course, the Saxon poet would be using AD. So I want to keep the spirit of, the Saxon poet's work here. And then I used some street map data, OpenStreetMap data, to generate these maps, which is pretty much all the place names of the cities that occur within book 1 here. So this is like a general map of Europe. The gray lines here are modern day boundaries. Here's, the layout of where regions were in 771. And then all the cities that get mentioned. So they cross the Pyrenees at one point at the Rendezvous Pass. So you can kind of see where that is. There's a bunch of stuff going on in Saxony. So we've got the little detail here of where all these cities are relatively. And I also did the work of looking up modern day names for these cities, at least where I could figure it out. And the map here uses the modern day meaning. So if you want, more map data or whatever, you can just look it up on Google Maps. So those are all for you in the back of the book. So that when you come across like, oh, Siegburg, where's that? Well, it's right there. Or they go on to Eresburg. Oh, it's right there. So that's available for you in the book. Also, feature in this book is the simplified version. So the original version was written by the Saxon poet. The simplified version was written by myself, and it's basically just like a plot summary, like a condensation, a simplification of the work, and it's in pretty much as simple Latin as I could make it. Like the subjunctive is avoided. Mostly the passive voice is avoided. Things are in English-like word order, which is nice. So, full disclaimer, this isn't good Latinitas. If Cicero came back from the dead, he would not like the style that this is written in, because it's very English-like. However, it is grammatically correct. And it's a good way to, get some words in. It's 1,000 words long. You can quickly read it. You'll gain a couple, vocab words like proceres, noblemen, that are used in the book. You'll also be introduced to the events and the characters, which is very useful to have that as context for when you're going into the poem. Because the poem itself, the words are kind of rearranged in the sentence to fit the meter. That can be more difficult for people to understand. So there's a simplified version. It's about 1,000 words long, and it's there for you to read before you jump into the original version. So that's all the features that come with the book. We've got the book, which comes with maps, glossaries, footnotes. The scansion guide is available for you. And then this video is the introduction for the read-along, where every day, or in every video, I'll go through one page of the original version, reading it in the in meter. So, Salvator Mundi, postquam de Virgine nasci. So you can kind of hear how the meter works. And then I'll go through it line by line explaining, what each word mean, how it fits with the sentences. So those are available for you as well. It's basically like if you came to my Latin class, the YouTube videos do the same thing. If you're a self-learner, what I'd recommend is buy the book, read through the simplified version. Kind of the prereqs for this is you should, read Familia Romana about chapter 15 or equivalent if you're using kind of a different textbook. I guess the real thing you should look at is here in the simplified version. If you can make out the simplified version fairly well, where you're like, oh yeah, the Franks live in Gallia, there were 2 kings of the Franks, Charlemagne and Carlomanus, his brother. If you can read this at a decent pace, you're probably ready for this book. So I'd buy the book, I would read through the simplified version, and then every day or every time that you study, I'd go through and read one page of the original. Oh, you get to a good illustrative page here. I'd read through one page of the original, go ahead and write in the scansion, and then check it against the scansion guide. Consult the glossary as needed. So I'd read it once, see if you can generally get a feel. Maybe then read the footnotes, look up words that you need to. Then I do the read along to kind of clear up any issues you might have hit with interpreting things. And then I'd recommend reread the passage just one more time because it feels good, and then you've already done all the hard work of figuring out what it means, so you might as well read it one more time, maybe using reading it like you would recite a poem according to the meter. And that's what I do. And I think with that, you'll get a lot of value out of reading the Saxon poet's Life of Charlemagne. And I think by the end of this, you'll have a pretty good grasp on how the meter for dactylic hexameter works. So that's the introduction. The rest of the videos are going to be page by page, me reading this in meter and then going through it line by line.